Hello.
Hello, take two for anyone who saw the first 3-minute snippet.
Don't really know what happened there.
No idea.
The moral, this happened to me on another group I work on. I did this the other day, and as soon as I put my finger to the screen, something happened. Therefore, the moral to the story is don't touch the screen.
So we're apologies, but I presume there's going to be a delay. It's not even popped up here that we're live. Right, welcome to Ask an Expert, live number 32. We're still in the back garden. We're certainly chasing the sunset.
We are.
It's great.
Hello, Kerry Eves.
Hi, Kerry
How are
again.
you? Hopefully we're right around this time.
And then we should have Hannah again, and then there was a couple of others watching as well. So, yeah, well, we still look bright enough, so fingers crossed it all is. Oh, there we go. We have a video. We are streaming live around the world.
Hi.
Around the world. Yeah, we had a kid challenge tonight. We were on, very quickly, we were on a photo shoot today. We're still normal. No, it's just about the business. Someone we know does
we're
this.
We're still normal. We'll still be friends.
We'll still be friends.
Hi, Hannah.
Yeah. Hi, Hannah. We're just, we know this photographer who does
She works on business branding.
Yeah, business branding, and Emily knows her through another group, and she had this really good package where it's a 12-month package, and she joins you how many times?
6 times.
6 times, and comes up with 6 different branding shoots, and we had our first one today, and we think we're quite pleased with it.
It was a family shoot. It got the kids involved, and there was barbecuing, gin, and bell tents, and the kids didn't go feral. So.
No, they didn't, which was absolutely gobsmacked. Ben wouldn't change his shorts, so he had a flamingo shirt on.
He wasn't really on brand with his.
No.
But
no, he needed his other shorts on, but he loves his short, and he's 3, so bless him. Right.
So I want to say a massive welcome, because I know for a fact there are so many newbies this week who've joined us. Hello, Edwina. Hope you well.
Hello, Edwina.
I know there are a lot of newbies in the group this week and some newly engaged people, so a big welcome. If you don't know already, my name's Emily and this is Alan, and we are the founders of The Outside Bride and also the founders of a company called Baylily Bell Tents, which specialises in outdoor weddings and bell tents for glamping type stuff as well. So this evening we're going to cut to the chase, really, aren't we?
We are. We've got 2 main questions. One. Hold on, didn't we have 3?
Well, you think about the third. We'll start on the simple one of.
We'll do the simple one. I think it was Joe South. Let me go and find out who did it, because we always like to. I have to say, we did a honeymoon suite. Well, I'm looking for Laura Bond at the weekend, member of the group and an avid watcher, and she had this lovely setup in her father's paddocks, and it really looked. Really looked. It was a lovely looking set with a marquee and our bell tent and everything else. Just want to say congratulations, Laura. It was a pleasure doing it. Yeah, I hope you're still with us.
And I was very lucky enough to event manage Sylvie's wedding. And we know Sylvie's in this group, and Sylvie has promised that she's going to stay in the group as well.
And
now she's a married woman. She's going to be the married one who gives all the hints and tips at the end of it. But she had an amazing celebration. It was a French/Jamaican extravaganza that happened to feature Liz Mitchell from Boney M.
Who I know Boney M. I wouldn't know it. I'm not old enough. I'm 40
Babylon?
on Saturday, and I know Boney M. and the Rivers of Babylon. I don't know Liz as the lead singer. Of course, I know who Boney M.
Very
are.
cool. She broke into song halfway through the speeches.
Rivers of Babylon, I think, may have been #1 when I was born. Interestingly.
Good to know.
So 40 years later, my path has crossed again with Boney
that
M.
in. Someone's 40 this week.
40 on Saturday, no issue. Anyway, let's get on point. So
Joe
asks. Joe says, recently engaged, new to the group, and 23 hours ago she put, if we do a DIY marquee type event, how do you get around having to have the ceremony in a registered place? Have I missed something obvious? We don't want a church, so how does this work? Thanks all. Now, very quickly, there's been 30 odd comments on this post. There's been a lot of chitter chatter from brides, from suppliers, and all hopefully giving help to Joe. So we are going to try and paraphrase the facts as short as possible, because it is pretty. It's a black and white answer ultimately, isn't it? There is obviously opinion, but there's some black and white facts. So Joe, these are the black and white facts on your ceremony if you want to legally get married but not in a church. Go.
To legally get married, as in to say your vows, they have to be done by a registrar or official person, like a vicar priest type person in a church. They have to be done in a place that is as a fixed building, basically a fixed building or a fixed roof. That can be.
It has to be pre-registered.
It's a registered.
Yeah, it has to be registered. It can't just be our house, for argument's sake.
A registry office. It could be a porchway of a manor house. We know that Penton Park, which is a manor house in Andover, has their entranceway has been registered.
I know someone who has a cricket pavilion that's registered.
A pavilion. It could be
a school,
a gazebo type thing, but the gazebo has
to be a pagoda. Sorry,
pagoda. Sorry,
gazebo wouldn't be fixed.
A pagoda, but it has to be with a solid roof, and it has to have fixings into the ground. It can't be.
And it has to be a registered place. So yeah, the kind of it being a fixed place is sort of superfluous to the fact it has to be registered, and then someone who is allowed to do it, so a registrar has to do it. That way you can get legally married. So that could be at your venue in their pagoda, and you could get legally married, then go off, and we'll come to the go off part in a second. Or it might be you get married in a registry office the same day, another week, another month, right now. But you have to be legally married. You have to go and do the paperwork part. It really depends on how important that paperwork part, the legal part, is to you, because it might just be something you're having to do, or it might be actually just
that's the reason you're doing it.
Just as important as the next part.
Yeah, I think, and some people will simply have the registry office or the room that they're getting married in, and then have the reception afterwards. Other people choose to have that bit, which is their paperwork bit, followed by a ceremony afterwards and their outdoor setting, which is also fun as well.
So the ceremony part, you can do whatever you want. Your best friend could put a yellow suit on and quote the lines from Three Men and a Little Lady. Is that where they're made together?
Yeah.
Ted Danson.
Danson.
For anyone my age, 40 Saturday, don't like to talk about it.
For those of you who would like to have a personalised official service outside, there are the world of celebrants, and I'm sure there are lots of celebrants watching this evening. If you are, give us a little thumbs up.
Hi, celebrants.
There are lots of celebrants in this group.
And they are, look, let's be honest, they're really good at tailoring it to you. Yeah. They want to get to know you, they want to make sure the ceremony's about you and everything else. And that's fab, but the fact is the celebrant part is not the legal part, but they are having an amazing ceremony with you, hi Lynn, and making it all about you, and that is mind-blowing. That is really, really good. You know, and like the celebrants will say, the registrar part may not be as personal, because, you know, it's a bit more...
You don't get to know the couple.
You don't get to know
who's going to marry you on that day.
So it's really about what's important to you.
It depends which words are important to you, whether it is literally the getting married part and becoming Mr. and Mrs. or Mrs. Mrs. or Mr. and Mr. It all depends if that's the important part to you, or it's the declaration of your personal vows to each other in a different situation.
So we know, to kind of draw a line, we know friends who have gone to a registry office with 5 or 6 people, their family, you know, a best man and a matron of honour, or matron of honour, whatever, you know, 5 or 6 people, and then just turned up at their marquee venue, this was, and just had a massive piss up, right? We also know people who have had 100 people at the registry office, and then they've gone and had a massive drink up. But we also know people who have just done it the day before, gone in their civvies, got married, turned up, had a celebrant-led wedding. We know people who've had their best friend lead it.
Well, the Sylvie's wedding. Sylvie's wedding.
Sorry, I'm smashing a can of Aldi's finest.
Sylvie's wedding weekend had, because half of the guests were French and half of the guests were Jamaican, they had Sylvie's brother was French, and he conducted the ceremony. It was a bilingual ceremony, basically. They had French, English, and it was amazing, and it was personal to them because they'd created their own ceremony. They had family doing the ceremony for them, and then at the end of it they had a really cool cocktail ceremony where they created their own cocktail and they poured it in front of each other and drank that as a symbolisation of the mixing of
each other's blood.
Well, it had champagne and it had rum and pineapple juice. It was very much...
Is that a well-known cocktail? I mean, I'm happy to drink it.
They created it for themselves.
Oh, I drank a Gara gherkin juice once. I would drink that.
The other thing to look at as well, and I mentioned this on the comments earlier, if you are looking at having one person to do the entire day is some counties are now doing this registry in a day type thing, where they can have the registrar, you can do the ceremony in the morning, get the legal bit done, and then the registrar will come out to your place of where you're celebrating in the afternoon and do the ceremony for you in the afternoon as well in front of your guests. Yes. So again, not saying that's right or wrong, or depending on what you're doing and what you want, but if you want the same person to do both things, or the same organisation to do both, it's worth looking into, because that is becoming more and more coming across the counties.
Yeah, so just like, once again, the fact is, if you want to be legally married, as in the eyes of the law, but not at a church, so a civil ceremony, then you either have to do it at a registered place with a registrar. Now, those registered places could be at your venue, or they could be at a registry office, a council office, or something like that. After that, you can do whatever you want. And like I say, if you want a proper personalised, tailored ceremony, you can have a celebrant. If you want a Mickey take blessing, then you can get your best mate to do it, and whatever. And we've seen both sides, and it really, you're going to know what you're going to want. Without saying fine. Hope that helps. And we really didn't want to talk about that too much, because, like I say, it's quite a black and white answer, and there was quite a lot of comments, so hopefully we haven't. Funnily enough, someone is typing on that conversation thread now. So Ashley Chorley, this one's a bit bigger.
Huge in one of the facts.
Yeah, she wants to know, has anyone rented a field and done everything themselves? Marquee, electricity, generator, toilets, catering, bar, etc. Can you share your experiences with me? Did everything go to plan on the day? Did you hire someone to oversee the day? Do we save this for next week?
No, we'll touch on it briefly. First, I would say welcome, Ashley, and congratulations on getting engaged. You're in the right place. We are the Outside Bride, where we touch on everything like this every single week. So if you are new to the group, the best thing you can do, rather than trawling through it, is you pop onto YouTube and go youtube.com/channel/Baylily Bell Tents, because that's our sister company. All of these Asking Experts are in a playlist there, and you can go back at your leisure, and they're all labelled with what we cover in each single episode, so to speak. So we do cover a lot of that, so feel free to go back, so we don't repeat everything we've already talked about. But simply, it's as long as a piece of string how much you spend on this event, and it's amazing.
It's really difficult, isn't it? But there will be hidden costs.
The first thing I will say, and we've already written in this thread today, is if you think that this is going to be a cheaper option than going to a hotel or a manor house or wherever, you'll probably be wrong. You probably spend more, in fact, I think.
Well, we used to. I tried not to talk about it that much anymore, but I used to own a marquee company. No reason not talking about it. It wasn't bad. I just try not to talk about it. But what we used to say is, if you think you're having a marquee wedding because it's cheap, it's not cheap, but you get to do what you want, how you want, where you want, and that's the key part. You're not restricted by...
And they're amazing fun, and that's why
of course they are.
And that's why we work in them as well, because they are amazing. And every single time we go to an outside, and we go to one, maybe two, maybe three every single weekend in the summer, everyone is slightly different in how they approach it and what they have, and their take on it is so much fun. And I love the fact that everyone gets to have a personal take on their day and not have to be told what time they can eat.
You know what, for me, it's the being charged corkage and the £1.75 per canapé type bit. That's that venue. And actually, the other bit, which is less negative, is more positive, is in an outdoor wedding, in a TP, marquee, tent, etc. You're all in one place, in a venue. Now, this is not fair, actually. I'm about to kind of smash them all with the same, tar them all with the same brush, because there are lots of different types of indoor venues, but there are a lot that actually spread your guests out. If you think about a hotel, you get the room where you eat, the bar, where the disco is, where the buffet is, and all of a sudden your 100 guests are spread across 4 rooms. And I appreciate that's a small percentage of weddings, but that does extrapolate, boom, I'm having that, across other weddings as well.
Ashley, the key things to start with, and I have promised you that I'm going to do a wedding checklist of things to think about, and I'll make sure that's put as a PDF.
Is that higher or lower in importance than my 40th birthday this Saturday?
Higher importance, but that will probably be in the next few days now. But the things to think about is, number one, where you're going to get married. Now, I'm going to put a little side in with a product you can buy.
I'm going to put some prices down in a minute.
We have a downloadable on the website, which is a how to pick your venue document, which is $3.99.
Yes.
Worth having a read, because it looks at all the fundamentals of what you need to get from your land, field, whatever, before you even commit to hiring that, because it's things from access points, what the road condition is to get to that point. Is there electricity? Is there running water? Is it flat? Is it dipped? Is it an old golf?
Yes, Lynn. This Saturday 25th. Thank you very much.
An old golf course where it's like lumpy and bumpy, like the ones at the weekend. It was quite uneven. So think about what the condition of the field is. Are you going to be in mud? Is there places to put the cars? All of that. Think about that when you find your location, and then
this is a huge answer, but keep
work
going.
From the fundamentals up to all the fun things you want. So the fundamentals are you're going to need cover at some point. So some sort of marquee. It could be a clear span. It could be a traditional. It could be a load of gazebos.
I think she's mentioned how many. Oh, blimey! This has had 65 comments on it. I think somewhere she talks about how many.
It's 80 guests.
I think I can't remember having a look.
As a ballpark, I mean, a basic bog standard marquee with no trimmings on the inside. We're looking at what, $2,000?
Yeah, you're literally getting a tent though. That's the thing.
You're not going
to be.
There won't be any flooring, any linings, any.
Tables and
chairs, all of that. You're going to have to get your furniture in.
Yeah.
You're going to have to get...
Well, the land hire starting from $1,000. Yes, it can be cheaper. But we're kind of talking generalised.
Yeah, as an average.
You know, I struggle to come across hiring a piece of land for less than $1,000.
Oh, to be 40.
You know, so you're looking at $1,000 for land hire. You know, marquee, $2,000 minimum. Well, like I say, there's always going to be anomalies. You might
and
know
something. And it's the type of catering you want. If you want street food, if you want a formal sit-down 3-course meal, if you're doing a per head price, if you're going to do something like a hog roast. A
hog roast is 800, 900 quid nowadays.
We were looking for a hog roast for Alan's birthday this week, and for 50 people, we were looking at about £800 for a 50 people hog roast, including all your salads and your trimmings and stuff.
We know there's cheaper, guys.
Absolutely, we do.
We know there's cheaper. This is
all depends where you are in the country and all that kind of stuff. But we're in Hampshire.
These are some figures we loosely know.
Yeah.
That's it.
So you're going to look at your catering costs. You're going to look at your tent costs. Your power costs.
400 quid minimum.
Your toilet costs.
600, 700, 800 quid for a toilet block for 2+1 posh loo.
Oh my goodness, you are on form today.
Boom.
Yes, you can get the bog standard more.
Or plastic ones. Actually, I don't know what they are. I think they're a couple of hundred quid.
But it all depends on what look you're going for, what standards you're looking for, what quantity you're looking for, and everything else will be kind of fluid between that. If you want things like fun bars, I mean, bars actually don't cost that much. If you're going to do your own bar, then maybe there's a cost there. But actually, a lot of bar companies will come in with a free bar with a minimum spend per bar. So actually, you're not going to be charged too much to get the bar in place. And some marquees and TP companies will put that as part of their package. So it's worth having a look at. With that in mind, though, actually, look at your quotes. And I'm only going to say this because of what happened at the weekend with one of our brides as well. Mm-hmm. Look at your prices.
Oh, yes.
And don't always...
This was the third thing.
This is the third thing. Please, 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 don't always be tempted to be driven by the price first and go, that's £1,000 cheaper than that company, I'm going to go with that one.
Always a pun.
Really, always look at the two quotes together and look at what you're getting. Like,
so let me give a real world example. Like Marquee World, we used to have a multi-span marquee with a wooden floor, like suspended wooden floor, sat 3-4 inches off the floor. And our quotes for 120 people would be £5,000-6,000, right? This is a few years ago. And that'd be everything. That'd be catering tents, bar tents, electricity, everything, tables, chairs. And people would go, yeah, but I've had this quote for £3,500-4,000, and I'd look at it and it would be what's called a party tent. Just think like garden gazebo, basically. That's a party tent, and there wouldn't be a wooden floor. It'd be like matting straight onto the grass, which is then lumpy, bumpy. Can work if you get married somewhere super flat and smooth, you know. And they would go, hold on, I've had this marquee quote for £2,000 cheaper than yours. It's different.
Yeah.
And this is the problem. We get you guys who are getting married, hopefully for the first time and once, and you know, Alexander, I think doing your due diligence on all suppliers is essential. You would if you were having a building. Yeah.
So basically, I'm not going to name any names of any company because that's not very fair on either company. But basically,
because everyone's allowed to make a mistake.
Everyone makes mistakes, and everyone has different. There's two sides to every story, but basically I rocked up to put up a tent for one of the brides we had 3 brides over the weekend, and she was really upset, and she gone, Emily, I really wish I'd gone with X company that we were looking for a year and a half ago, and that's who I thought they were going with. They found a second company who managed to get them down on price. They decided to go with the second one, and they abandoned their first person. got to it. Obviously, we had a lot of rain last week, and they got there, and the tent company were number one going to charge them an extra cleaning fee because they might get mud on their tent because of the ground being wet. Not the customer's fault. It should be there. But also, at the time of putting the flooring down, they then looked to the bride and groom and said, we need you to go out and buy some membrane to go under the event carpet because we don't supply that, and the ground's wet, so you need to go. So 2 days before their wedding, bride and groom were out in one of the shops, like B&Q, so trying to source plastic membrane.
That's not cheap either when you're doing something for the size of a marquee.
It was two teepee hats together, so that was quite a big floor space that they had to go and source a membrane that wasn't put in their original quote that they would have had if they'd gone to them over there, which are all so yes, it might be cheaper, but it's not cheaper when you're having to find extra bits to put on top of that quote, and it's the hassle and the stress. If you go with a slightly higher spec company, maybe who's been around a little bit longer than this company over here, you're going to have the experience, you're going to have, as Alexandra said, do your due diligence, get to know the suppliers, go and meet them, go and see them at an event, go and see those tents up, go and see the product.
We would always send our potential clients a calendar of what we had coming up that was close to what they were trying to book, so they could come and join us, come and have a look round before we hand it over to the bride and groom. So yeah, absolutely, if do all of that. Yeah,
it's really important because ultimately you don't want the stress, and yes, you might save yourself a couple of £100, but are you saving a couple of £100 when you're going to have to then buy something elsewhere to deal with the problem?
Ignore the money, think of the time, money, health triangle. You've got to think about time. Is it worth the time? Is it worth the money? Is it worth the stress? So always refer to your time, money, health triangle. Do I need a blog post on my time, money, health triangle?
But seriously, I think the important things are your field hire or your land hire, your tent cover if you're having that, if you're going to not be bold and have nothing at all. I think it's
brave.
It's advisable to get some sort of cover.
I don't think I'd ever recommend that.
Obviously, you've got your ceremony costs and your actual marriage costs. They, if you look at the whole budget, are probably the smallest amount of money to have to spend on. But flowers and decorations and photo booths and really cool camper vans outside for bars.
And bell tents.
Bell tents are really important for every wedding.
Every wedding needs a bell tent.
All of that is going to be down to your budget, what you can afford, what your look is, what your feel is, what you're trying to achieve, what your day's all about, and that is where you will have to make your cuts later on if your budget is stretched. Because ultimately, people need to sit down, they need to be dry, they need to be able to have a pee in the evening, not over the boys.
It is tricky because is your budget set in stone because it means you won't be able to eat if you go over it, or is your budget set that way because you don't want to go over it but actually could go over it for the right things? And they're two very, very different things to think about when setting a budget and booking it all in. Right, I think that's it. I hope that was 3 questions.
Very succinct today.
We're not normally this succinct, but I think that's it. It was a 4:30 start for me. I don't like to talk about that in everyone.
It's getting dark.
I know. I don't want to move inside. I could bring the lighting outside.
The dark is going to beat us, I think.
We'll
try it next week as well.
Yes. Well, 8:30 is now dark, so that is a challenge for us.
So next week, Wednesday, is a normal Wednesdays for next week. We would have, this time next week, we would have had a 40th birthday party, a Shimmer and Shine Genie 5th birthday extravaganza.
Lydia Rose, our oldest, is 5. I'm 40 on the 25th. She's 5 on the 28th.
And then next Thursday, Alan jumps out of an airplane.
30th, I'm jumping out of a plane to celebrate being 40. And you are much lighter than here. Oh right, it's. I think we are on the screen, but that could just be the light from the phone. But it's really dark behind us. And then what else? 5th of September, I fly to Chamonix in the Alps to go and do a long trek with some scouts and friends and stuff. So I'm excited about that. So you'll be alone for 2 weeks doing this, I think. Because I fly on a Wednesday. But that's in September. That's another month. Don't wish your life away. Right.
See you later, guys.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Bye.